Today we're using Big Twist, the cream color, and we're going to use a pop of black, is Big Twist as well, in this beanie. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a tail, and I'm going to cast on, starting with the first black pin. I'm just going to continue to crank the machine and weave the yarn in and out of the pins, or in front and behind, depending on how you look at it. Once we get to the end, we're putting it back into the yarn feeder, and we're just going to give myself a little bit more slack. And then I'm going to reset the counter to 0. On this beanie, we're going to 100 and maybe 105, 110 rows. We'll do 110. I'm going to start out with maybe 20 rows. Then I'm going to come back and do a pop of color of 10 rows of this one. And we're going to finish out the rest of the beanie in cream. Giving myself just a little bit of tension, not a lot. Just enough so that it forms around the bottom of the peg and goes safely around the pin itself, the needle itself. There's still a little bit of resistance with the yarn coming out of the skein. We're in row 9. So this is a charity knitting project. This beanie is going to go to a cancer patient going through chemo. We're now at row 20. Now I'm going to do a color change. So I'm going to cut off the end here. Place that in on the inside of my machine. And now I'm going to come in with the change color. We're just going to add a pop of black. Adding a short tail inside. Closing the bridge back. And I'm going to slowly slowly crank the machine. If you can see the way that I wrapped it, it helps so that you don't have the stair step look. So this yarn ended on this side of this last peg, and I'm going to start this peg on the opposite side of the last peg underneath the little hook, just so I can have a seamless join. Now with this color, I'm only going to do about 10 rows. I just want to have a pop of color. Just something to where it's reversible and the other side looks different. Or maybe I'll do 2 rows. Yeah, I think I'll do 2 rows of 6. So that's the first 6 rows. We're going back to this cream color. Yeah, as you can see, this develops as we go. So now I'll go back at 35. All right, so now I'm going to do one more color change so that we can have 6 more rows of this pop of color. A little bit more slack. This is the last row of this color and the last time that we change colors. Now the rest of the beanie is going to be this color. And now we can finish until we get to row 110. And also I can use my helper so that it can go a bit quicker. We're on row 44. So I'm going to bring in my helper here. Still guiding the yarn with my hand so I can feel any resistance if there's any knots or anything coming to the machine, so I'll be able to stop the drill before it gets into the machine. to pause just for a moment so that I can roll up the project and you're getting a glimpse of what it's going to look like. I'm pausing again just to roll it up once again. This will be the last time that we have to roll it because we only have about 6 more rows. I'm just pausing it and rolling it up so that it doesn't continue to drag the table. Just like that, we finished 110 rows. How cool is that? And the reason that I don't want it to drag the table is because when it puffs up like this, there is a risk of it coming off of the pins here, and we don't want to lose a stitch unnecessarily. So now we're going to cast off. I'm giving myself a little bit of a tail before I cut the yarn. And I'm going to use the needle that comes with the Addi Express. This is a darning needle so that we can pick up the stitches. I'm just going to thread the yarn, take it out of the yarn feeder. And we're going to make sure that we do knit that last stitch. So I want to keep it behind the needle and continue to crank. But every other needle that's now not holding on to yarn, those are the ones we're going to pick up. And we're going to do that all the way around, one by one. Carefully, making sure that we don't drop a stitch. And as we go further and further, we have a little bit more resistance, or I should say flexibility, so we can pick up more than one stitch at a time. Excuse me. Now we have successfully cast off our project. I'm going to remove the brackets from the machine so we can finish. All right, so I'm going to take off the darning needle. And we do have some color changes that we need to tighten up those stitches. So let's find those. Only 4 times, so that's not too bad. So on each one of these, what we're going to do, we're just going to take both pieces of the yarn and we're going to slightly pull them away from each other until the stitch settles into place. And you can tell when the stitch settles into place when it's just aligned up. When it is aligned. I can't talk today because I've had dental work and my mouth is still throbbing. So I'm just going to adjust these stitches and then tie a few knots after that. So the first pull is very gingerly, just lining everything up. And then after that, we want to tie tighter knots to ensure it doesn't come apart. But this is a double-walled project, meaning it's 2 layers, so these loose stitches are going to be inside the project, so no one's going to see this. So after we tied all the knots, I want to cut these a bit, say about 1.5 inches long, just to give yourself a bit of wiggle room. So now I'm going to turn it on the right side. Makes me think of Charlie Brown. So now we can stretch it lengthwise, we can stretch it widthwise, let all of our stitches settle in. And you can tell that since we did the join the way that we did, you can't tell where the yarn was added, which is cool. So on this first end, I'm going to pull the drawstring, gather it together, and evenly distribute this tension. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Pull the drawstring so that I can evenly distribute the tension. So both sides are gathered, and this project is going to be reversible. So it doesn't really matter which side we start on first. There's no pom-pom. So I'm going to put my arm through, gather the end, put it in my fist, and then pull it through to the top. Pull it all the way through. So this tail on this side matches this tail on this side. So the inside and the outside tails match. And I'm just going to line up the edges in my hand and then put my hand on the inside so I can flatten everything out and adjust it. All right, so now we're going to take the string on the inside and we're going to cinch it closed. And we're going to take the string on the outside, and we're going to cinch it closed as well, making sure it's still distributed evenly. Just cut off a bit of the excess here. So first we're going to tie a knot. And then we're going to take both ends, and I'm going to weave it onto this metal darning needle, both ends together. The metal just is a bit smoother to go through the stitches. And I'm just going to go through some of these stitches at the top and weave this through. Giving extra security. Excuse me. And it helps to make sure that the hole is further closed as well. And so once we do that, I'm going to tie yet another knot. And now I'm going to cut the ends off a little bit lower so that I can once again take the darning needle to add those ends on the needle. And now I'm just going to weave it into the hat. And since this is double walled, I can just weave it in between those layers and pull it out here. And then that yarn gets absorbed on the inside. And now you don't see it. So we have a brimless beanie that is reversible. So we have this side, or we just have the plain side if the patient wants to wear it on the plain side. How cool is that? So let's add the tag. So this tag is also reversible, meaning you can see the made with love symbol from both sides, which is cool. Just reinforce the tag. With my squeezer. All right, so now we have the tag as well. How cool is that? So available to wear on this side or on this side. And I mean, of course, if the person did want to flip it up for a brim, they could, but it'd be a lot smaller. It'd be more of a child size then. But it does stretch really good. Thanks for watching.